let's look at what we have as a final product. And then in comparison to what we've done so far, look like we are really, really close to what we're trying to do. The last thing we need to do over here is to create our trend, okay, for the account that is selected. All right, so what we're going to do is come back to our calculations, okay, and then we're just going to do our trend. Now, our trend is quite simple. We are looking at 12 months based on the year selected. How has the account performed? Okay, so we're going to create a new pivot table. So you can use a shortcut Alt N to insert V for pivot table, and then I'll select D from the data model. So existing, I'll click OK. Good. Now, all I'm going to do is come over here to COA, select the main, put them in rows, okay? And then I'm going to add calendar, month name to also rows this way. And then I'll add amount. So if I use the amount over here, you know the income statements lines will be affected because of the write-offs. So I'll use this amount over here. Good. Okay, now let's come to design and let's change this to tabular. Good. And then because we're going to do a lookup, we want to repeat all items. And then we want to take off subtotals. So do not show subtotals. Good. So something like this. So for, let's say, patient services, right, we'll have the January to December. Good. Now, just because we do not want to use a slicer for this and we want to use a drop down, as painful as that will be, just because of this design, we have to create formulas just for this. Okay, so what I mean is when you come here, so over here, right, just because we want to be able to create that drop-down field, because pivot tables rely solely on slicers, and we don't want to use a slicer for all the accounts. That would be too long. We want to use a drop-down. We need to create a pivot table, and then we look up the selected value over here, and then we look up its January to December values. Okay, so if we come here, we're going to bring in our statements as well. You understand surely why that is important. Good. So we have whether it's balance sheet or it's an income statement type. Okay. We're going to create a unique of all the items listed over here. So we're going to click equal to this, unique, come right here, and then we'll select this. Good. Now, because we do not know how deep this goes, okay, I don't want to go to the very bottom. I'm just going to set this to 10,000, right? But then I'm going to use the trim row architecture. Now, this is only available in 365. When you put a dot over here, what it means is that even though you selected from 3222 to 10,000, right, you're only interested in the cells that do not have that are not empty, basically. So now close this, I press enter. I have this. Okay, so it doesn't go all the way to the bottom. All right, good. So if I add something here, it will get picked up, right? And then everything in between it will also get picked up. Fantastic. Okay, so we have this in place. So we have office furniture all the way to this. Now, as you are well aware, these are not all the accounts in our statement. They are much more than this, but these are the only ones that have data. So we can select this. We can come to pivot table, analyze, come to options. Okay, then under display, we're going to say show items with no data on rules and click OK. And that's where we have everything. Is that okay? Good. So we're just going to sort this way. Okay, so we have a blank in there. I'm not sure what that is, but don't worry, that's fine. So we'll come to our dashboard, and then over here, so we have this in place. We have this, that. Let's move this up a bit. Okay, good. Let's insert a row over here. Good. And then I'm going to merge the cells here. So I'll come to home, merge, merge center. Good. And I'm going to create a drop down, right? Data validation. So with this selected, we come to data, come to data validation, select this. Good. Now the validation is going to come from a list. And then that list, your guess is good as mine, is this. Select this, and then we bring hash. Click OK. So over here, we can now select any item. We're going to make this white. Let's make the fill gray. I think gray with black is fine. So gray with black this way is fine. Good. And then we just underline over here. So select this, Control 1, right? Come to border, select this option, and then select white. Okay. So this selected, and then underline this, then you click OK. Fantastic. This is looking good already. So this is what allows us to select the various accounts. Now with the account selected, all we need to do is come here, the dashboard, and then we say selected account. Okay, then we'll bring this here equal to, come to dashboard, and we'll select the accounts. Select the account, you press enter. Good, and you have cash. So now we're going to just bring the months over here. So Jan, Feb, select these two, drag down all the way to December. Good. And then we're going to do a simple lookup, right? And our lookup is just going to say equal to X lookup. Okay, so combine your accounts. We need to log this absolutely. So function F4 or F4, depending on your computer layout. Then you select this guy over here, comma. Now we'll select all our accounts. Again, we don't know how far down it goes, so just make this 10,000. And then we can just bring a comma. And then we select months as well. Same thing, I'll just make this 10,000. All right, I'm going to log this here. I'm going to log this here as well. I'm just logging them at the row level. Okay. And then what do we want to return? We want to return amount. Okay. So this 10,000. So you can just press function F4. F4 as well. Okay. Over here, and then I'm just going to close this. Just press enter. Okay. Am I missing something in this formula? Oh, my bad. So this is supposed to combine with this. So this concatenated with this. Yeah, enter. Good. So that's for January. Just drag this down. If we did this right, this should work correctly. Okay, so we have this, that. In September, cash doesn't have a September value. Good. SEP. But here's SEPT. So let's just take the T off. Good. And we have this in place. Okay, so these are the cash values over the months, right? Good. Now, all we need to do is to create a chart from this, a line chart. So we're going to select this too, this way. Come to insert. This is not a pivot table, so you don't go to pivot to analyze, right? Come here to line, and you select this line with markup. Okay, cut this guy, Control X. Come to dashboard. Over here, we're just going to paste in Control V. Okay, so we have our chart nicely in there. I'm going to drag it up a bit. drag it here this way. Delete the chart type. Just click and select and delete. Click and select and delete. You see that? Good. Now we select the line, we press Control 1, and then we work on it. So we come here, and then we change the color to white. Okay. Now you can't see that. You can't see it because it's white. Okay, but we're just going to reduce the width to 1.25 as well. We change the markers to fill. We're going to change the markers to white. And then we're going to make no line as a border. Okay, now everything looks white. Can't see anything, okay? So what we're going to do is click outside, click the main chart. So make sure only the chart is selected. Come to color, change the color to our gray. And now we can see it nicely there. Good. Bring our shadow. Change this to the darkest gray. Remember, we're reducing this to 0. We need to be uniform, and we're reducing this to 3. Enter. Good. So we have this in there. We take off the borderline, the white borderline selected. Come to color, border, no border. Good. Now, one thing we can also do over here, whilst this is selected, we can select the line and smoothen the line. Okay. So that gives it a much more modern feel than the straight lines. Okay. Now we'll select the months, come to home. Okay, and then make this white. Good. So basically, we've done this. We've done everything we need to do. Select bank account, and we have this. If you select deferred revenue, do you have an account for deferred revenue? No, we have nothing for deferred revenue. Let's see electricity. We have nothing. Okay. Long-term loans, nothing. All right, so this has all the accounts. So some of them are blank there and there's nothing in there. That's fine. Good. Now, even though we have the line, we have no values in there to see what they are, right? So when we click on the chart, click on this plus, which is a chart element, we can come to data labels and we can bring in our data labels above, right? But you can't see the numbers, but they are in there if you look closely. So if you click on one of them, all of them will be selected, come to home, change them to white. And then you can see your numbers. Is that okay? Problem is that these numbers are too cumbersome. They're too many. We need to truncate them. Is that okay? So what we can do is we can come here to dashboard calculations, select these cells, press Control 1, come to number, custom, select this, and now we're going to format the numbers. Okay, now if you want to truncate, as in reduce by 1,000, you use this. So first, we're going to bring decimal place, so .1 to bring one decimal place over here, .1 as well. So you see one decimal place has just popped up over here. And now we're going to truncate this by 1,000. So you bring a comma to truncate by 1,000, and then you bring K in double quotation to show that it's being truncated. So you do the same thing over here, comma, truncate, and then K by 1,000. If we're truncating by millions, we'll bring two commas, right? Two commas represent 1,000. One comma is for 1,000, another comma is for another 3 zeros. So every 3 zeros is cancelled off by a comma. So for millions, it's 2 commas, and then you bring M to show that you've truncated in millions. So you can see that over here. So I'll go back to 1, and then K. Good. So then you have something like this. So now when you come to your dashboard, now you have something what's very neat in there. You get it. Let's do the same thing for our income and expenses. So I'm going to highlight these two. Control 1, custom, select this. Okay, so I'm going to bring .0 decimal. We need a decimal, so we know it's maybe 4.0K or something. Comma, and then K. Right, same thing over here. .0, comma, and then 1K in double quotation. Remember, the K is always in double quotation. The dashboard. And now we can come here, click on our plus, data labels. It says data label. outside end. You will see them at the top here. If you look closely, you can see it over here. Click on this. Come to home, font color white. At the top of the income as well. Click on that. Home, font color white. Good. All right. So basically, we've created this beautiful dashboard in this video where we've looked at how we can bring all our pivot tables into visuals in one place as a dashboard. Okay, guys. So we've now completed our dashboard. Well, almost completed it. There are still a few things we need to do, like bring in our controls. And then for our bank statement, if you look at our previous dashboard over here, you see bank statement is actually cumulative, right? It's cumulative, but this one over here goes up and down, up and down. This is showing you month on month the changes. So what we're going to do, we're going to try and create a cumulative calculation, a measure for that. So if you're excited, let's see how we can do this in the next video.